Check 1 2. Seem like this best I'm gonna get. Yo, what's going on, party people? It's the kid, the one and only El Wavy Baby himself, tapping in with y'all one time for the one time from, as you can see, Wavo World. So I'm not gonna call these episodes. This gonna be day one in Wavo World. And really it's like that because this is like me opening up to my everyday living, like how I mentally think things out, you know what I'm saying, like on a daily basis, really. So you talk about like when I run up on people and they meet me and they receive this energy from me, um that's really like who El Wavo is. This isn't just Cam, so to say, you know. Everybody who knows me, you know what I mean? Like, my name is Cam, you know. I'm the producer, Cam be jamming, as well as the artist El Wavo. So when people ask me who is El Wavo, and why the change, it really was just an energy that I received, like the frequency that I was just on. You know, I was already headed in that direction, but when you talk about like just fully receiving it and feeling it for what it was, and knowing that it wasn't just a space or means of, I don't know how to say it, like just trying to find new identity. That wasn't what I was doing. You know, most people, especially from the artist or musician side of things, they'll try to revamp themselves, and that just genuinely wasn't what I was doing. I know that the way of life that I'm into in this present moment was something that I was in search of then. It was things and transitions, transitionings that was happening and going on that caused El Wavo to come up, if they make any sense. And that was maybe, what, we're in 2023 now. There's every bit of maybe like 2018-ish, 2019, when I started having these urges and feelings, you know. And from then on, I just kind of allowed it to use me as a vessel, an instrument of message, you know. Even when I didn't fully understand what was going on, I felt true to my heart that this was real, you know. And then when I started being able to gain solid evidence of what was going on, I started to really then be able to see like El Wavo isn't something that's coming from my ego, isn't something that I just created again just to revamp myself as a musician. It was really a way of life, like in the way that I thought, the way that I think, the way that I move. So yeah, I guess that's how I open up. If you can see behind me, there's this board back here that says today's vibes. And you know, you say I have a little card here, but this is just to keep me on track. As a Gemini, I can't get talkative. I just want to stay on track with everything that I have structured, just to make sure it's all clicking and making sense. You know what I mean? It all got to be cohesive for me. That's me though, you know. I'm a perfectionist in ways, even though my method may not be perfect in the sight of others, but if I can get it just as close to what I saw, I did it. You dig? But yeah. So today's topics, just to open up day one, who is El Wavo? I think I, to the best I could, did cover that, you know. And then second, you'll see here, as I have on this card here too, is what is Wavo World? So Wavo World is really just the lenses I see this thing through now that Wavo is here, like within this, you know, giving me this energy and how I walk. You know, the biggest thing that I said that I believe gave me that transition I was looking for, and this was again years ago, 2018-ish, 2019. I've always been a spiritual person in nature. You know, I come from a deeply rooted background in the church, you know, so I've always known who God is when you talk about that aspect. But when you talk about growing a little older, maybe when I was about 18, 19 years old, I started to have certain experiences with the world, you know, with the universe that let me know it was deeper than that. Way deeper than that. And even as a kid, I used to always get told, sir, son, nephew, you been here before. You move like a little old man. And it's like for me, honing that, like really understanding what that means now, you know, energy isn't created nor destroyed, it's only transferred. So like me having that understanding, like that my energy has been somewhere that may have been here before, and I say it like that because it's not just deja vu for me. It's things that I recognize all too well, and then I'm like, yo, I get why I made this decision as opposed to the other when I look at things in hindsight. So when you talk about Wavo World, again, that's just a perception of consciousness that I see these events and things happening to me um, through. You know, I don't believe that anything is a coincidence at all. You go through things on purpose. Even if you want to keep it on a religious context, we're taught that God has his hand in all things and that there's no mistakes made. So if we truly and firmly believe that, how can there be any coincidences or mistakes, so to say? And when you talk about us being made in his image, that means that we're fully walking in, in his creation, which is really us creating that too. And I talk it like that. I really walk it that way because we get taught as a man thinketh, so is he. But what does that mean? What you hold in your mind will manifest in the flesh, in material, if you hold it in your mind and harbor it long enough. You know what I mean? And it's like I, I just live my life in facets that cultivate all these different things that I want to do. So when I say what I say, not just in song but like in life, I'm literally a walking manifestation of that. You know what I mean? So again, that's Wavo World in a nutshell, right? If I were to keep it short. So what I really want to dive into is the realm that I'm into in thought, right? What do they call it? People call it being spiritual. People call it being into metaphysics. People talk about being an alchemist. All those different words and labels. I don't identify as any of those. I don't want to be put into any boat or lane with anyone. This is how I move. That's why I labeled it Wavo World. Like if I'm helping anyone, by all means, peace and blessings to you. You dig what I'm saying? And love. Because I did and do all these things for me. Like this is for my peace. You know what I mean? This is for my elevation. This is for my growth. This is for my evolution, should I say. You know what I mean? So I don't do any of these things for recognition or clout. You know what I mean? Like this is me being genuine to my soul, to my purpose. Above everything, I don't aim to be famous for sure. When you talk about being rich, I'm already that. You dig what I'm saying? So like I know the money is here to follow. It's soon to come, should I say, or really already that. If I were to explain it that way, because me, I don't believe in speaking in future terms. Like I know that the universe doesn't look at time linearly like we do, and that's because we're taught it that way. Again, everything is cyclical, so to say. The energy isn't created nor destroyed, it's only transferred. So if I think in terms of now, in terms of present, I just have to align myself with that. You know what I mean? And that's manifestation. When I think about where I'm at right now in actual Wavo World, you know what I mean? Like my room didn't look like this a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when I first got here. It was nothing here. Like literally nothing. A blow up mattress. There's a recliner that was in here that was half broken. You know what I mean? What else was in here? There was this entertainment center looking thing that was always in here, but none of this stuff that was actually on it now. Like none of it's here. Like I've turned it into my altar. Just just plenty of things. Like this desk that I now have in it, that's where I create my music, where I create my videos, where I do my research on more conscious material and thought patterns so that I can grow and evolve, while I research my books and things of that nature. Even to my books, like I now have a bookshelf in here. um Again, like none of that was here, and all of that was in my thought of creation when I first gotten here. Things that I could do to make this space more me, more fitting to, just me, my character, give it that oomph, so to say. And even down to this podcast, this was just on paper literally a year and 2 months ago. Like I wrote this down in 2022. I don't know what it was about the year 2022, but I really feel like that was a high vibratory year for manifesting things into reality. you know Again, I had this on paper in October of 2022, where it literally wasn't even a logo yet. I was at work trying to figure out, like, what do I do from here? When I talk about from here, like even my story of how I got to Georgia, man, if most people even knew, I don't even know if they'd be able to keep their sanity, you know, like true sanity in everything I had to go through just to even get to this place of solidarity, you know. But that's another story, maybe another day. You dig what I'm saying? But again, staying on topic of being able to manifest, um this was on paper in October 2022. Again, it wasn't even a logo yet, it was just a thought. I'm just jotting down, saying to myself, like, this place that I'm in, this job, this just over broke, as I like to call it, job, I'm not gonna be here forever. I don't know what my next, move is, but it's gotta be my best one. You know what I mean? That's something me and my brother would say all the time. Shout out to my brother. We'll get into talks about him and how he's affected my life too later on, because he don't even know his impact on me for what has been positively in my life when you talk about the realm that we moved in. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't come from just this all well to be background. So when people meet me, they think that because of how I carry myself. But man, it has not been pretty or sweet for me. But I've been able to transmute that into something positive, because I've always thought I don't have to be a product of my environment. You know what I mean? Like I've always thought that I create the environment here first. So it's for me being able to see again Wavo World come into fruition. You know, it's a beautiful thing for me. And even being able to use words like that to be descriptive of, just things in my life, I've come a long way. Because even that growing up, we weren't even able to, you know, express ourselves in that mannerism. We always had to be tough, rugged, or hard. When I know true to myself, like I'm a lover. I've never wanted to be a fighter, but I've learned how to be that based on these environments that I've been placed in. And the fact that I haven't lost myself, man, I really respect me for it, but I've seen the respect that I've been given because of it. So again, like being able to manifest Wavo World, not just as something that was on paper a year and 2 months ago, but all throughout my life, I've been struggling to just be myself. You know what I mean? And seeing that this is who I am. I've come to love self more in trying to find self. So yeah, and finally getting to a space where I could create Wavo World as a thought on paper and then have it fully manifest in the material realm. Wow, that's really big to me. You know what I'm saying? And I can't take it as a small feat. I can't take it as a small win. I have to really take it in as a large one, Most people, I saw this quote or this saying. I was about, man, how old was I? Maybe 22. And the guy was speaking on the fact that most people die internally, in soul and spirit, at 25, because the way of the world tells them that they have to do A, B, C, and D. They have to be a robot and drawn to certain things, and they never get a chance, not only physically, but mentally, because they're programmed with certain things, that they can't do it, that they have to lead a certain lifestyle, that they have to just go to work and do a 9 to 5, and that's it for them. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much broader, uh, uh, it's so much broader, like, things out here that you're capable of, that you can tap into within yourself. And again, that's what Wavo World is about. Like, I have personally figured out ways to do it, even coming from what I come from. You know what I mean? Like, again, that's just a beautiful thing to me. So, following the board again, let's travel down a little bit. I have mental transmutation up there, but I kind of want to switch it around and let's talk about mentalism. So, what that is, I actually want to pause to say, before I get into that, rest in power, rest in almighty power, the God, Brother Panic, made his transition in November. I didn't get a chance to pay my respects the way that I wanted to, but I do have to say that on camera for myself, because if it weren't for a lot of his research and teachings and findings and things of that nature, I wouldn't have cultivated this energy for myself to this degree and magnitude. So I definitely want to say to those closest to him and his family and his friends, my condolences, but a big rest in power to you, and a big thank you to you, Brother Panic, because I still feel your energy here like you never left. So I know that the work you did was real, and I can't even say regret, because I know all things happen with purpose and reason. I wish I had really gotten to shake your hand how I wanted to and just tell you thank you. I'm not a fan guy or fan boy, as probably you would have called it if you were still here. But I am a respectful person. So I don't want to move without saying that, for real. There's been a lot of other spiritual, I'd say, guidance or guiders or teachers or intellects that I've helped allowed to help guide me through this transition, throughout these past, I'd say 4 years for sure, that I've really been tapped into what's going on within me and within the community of things, right? But more or less in the evolution. So I may sound like a lot of those different things, and it's not me trying to be anything. This is me really just giving it to you as simple as raw as I can for what I've learned. But again, a big thank you to Brother Panic for being who he was, really answering his calling and moving, as he would say, doing the work, like really being foot to the ground with this thing. I really want to say rest in power and thank you. But again, talking about mentalism. So if you're familiar, if anyone is familiar not only with his teachings, but the book, the Kabbalion, and the Hermetic principles, mentalism is the first law. And mentalism is simply put as the mind is all, the universe is mental, right? And basically what that means in a nutshell is that all things are from the mind of God, the universal spark or divine, divine spirit, should I say, or whomever or whatever you guys would love to call it. I call it the all, right? So if all things are created in the mind of the all, and we are created in the image again of God, because again that's how people will perceive it or receive it best and easiest, right? So looking at it from that perspective, if we're If all things are created from the mind of God, yet we are manifestations of his creation, and we are built in his image, in the image of God, right? Then doesn't that make us or give us the same ability in creation? So does that not mean for us that all I need to learn how to do is control my mind? You know what I mean? And it's like, if I learn how to control my mind, or really hone the thoughts that come into it, because we have to identify with the fact that we're not our thoughts. You know what I mean? Like, these are literal channels of to make it simply put, they used to tell us growing up, an idle mind is the devil's playground. With reason. If your mind is just open without any regard to what's traveling inside to it, it's susceptible to literally anything that a person could input into it. Little do we know, that's what's going on to us on a daily basis. When you talk about, the things we entertain, as far as like the music, the shows we watch, the movies we look at and pick, the drama we entertain in the real world, the jobs we go to, all those different things culminate and add to us being really, I don't want to say brainwashed, but more or less controlled in certain different ways and facets. If we don't have our own ideologies, and again, and these all of these things that I just named are basically spirits or entities or energies or energy sources or vessels of energy sources and entities and things of that nature, used to get you away from really finding you and living your purpose. So when you talk about the mind is all, the universe is mental, the first law of mentalism, you have to take control of you by taking control of your mind. If you always think pessimistically or negatively about situations and things, they're bound to always be negative. You know what I mean? Giving myself prime example, and using myself as prime example. When I got here, I didn't have anything. I didn't have nothing. I literally didn't have, but maybe, I don't even know if I had 2 shirts for real and 3 pair of drawers. So if I'd have just sat and wallowed in that thought of, man, I don't have nothing, I'm not going to be nothing, what do I do from here? It never culminates to anything positive for me. You know what I mean? Hold on, y'all. My camera keep going out. So look, I'm going to pause and I'm going to hit y'all with the re-rock one time. Dig, 1 second. Yo, thank y'all for bearing with me. You dig what I'm saying? I am working out all the kinks, you feel me? Like, it is day one. So the day ones, y'all will appreciate this later on when it turns into whatever it's going to turn into. Because if I'm honest with y'all, I didn't think about doing none of this. When I realized what my true calling is outside of music, like really is using my voice and holding these type of impactful conversations, was when people were telling me about me and the things that I was giving them. And it's really because, I was getting it, so to say. So to those people, to a million different names that if I began calling, I know I'm gonna leave someone out. Thank y'all for being the sounding board, for helping me understand who I'm becoming. You know what I mean? And the person that I assume to want to be, like, in life for me, I'm actually en route. So thank y'all. I appreciate that, But as I was saying, again, mentalism, man, that's crazy. I hate the fact my camera, and it did it again. Again, I appreciate y'all, you know what I mean? And I'm assumably and presumably probably not gonna edit all of that out for sake of not only it being my first one, but I'm really figuring out like what's gonna be the route for me and making sure this goes this way. If I'm quite honest with y'all, when y'all talk about like just really listening to like the all in spirit give me these messages and what to do. If I'm honest with y'all, this wasn't supposed to look like this to me. My intentions was to keep it at continuing to either go to a park or outside near me. It's a very, very heavily wooded area where I'll just go outside and get in nature. My thought process was to keep doing that, but then it got cold. And you know everything was just telling me like, hey, don't stop doing this right now. I need you to do this. And me, again, being an open vessel to the spirit, was like, okay, how do I make it happen? How do I make it make sense? This sofa wasn't in here. I switched out a lot of different things. Again, it's just crazy. Like, whenever you're really listening to the spirit move you, when you're being really sincere with it, it'll always work in your favor. You know what I mean? So let's get back to where we were, right? We were talking about mentalism, right? And then if I were to switch it from mentalism, or not even switch it, let's just say, transition into mental transmutation. So that's on the board back there too. If you guys can see it, I'll probably give you guys a flash picture of it. But mental transmutation, to transition from mentalism, what that basically means is that you're taking things that may have been negative in your life and using them for good and using them for positive gain. So it's like, again, going back to using myself as the example, if I'd have sat and wallowed in me not having anything, and wondered how I was going to move forward, I never would have moved forward. If I'd have thought pessimistic about it, like, man, I'm upset, I'm mad, I'm angry, I want to do this, that, and the third, this, and the third, to these people, it's their fault, them. I don't take enough accountability at that point in myself to say, hey, I own my life. At that point, I gave them all the power, whether it be not coincidences, but situations of that I didn't necessarily bring upon myself. At some degree, I did have some part to play within it. And once you accept that, you then take that power back enough to say, hey, I can move forward with this. Yeah, okay, this, even if it wasn't my fault, but it was, I can own the responsibility and move forward with that if it empowers me. And not even if, in most cases, it's like if you can take the power back and saying, hey, though this person did this, I did this either in response or once I thought this about it or that, whatever have you. You can then take that and maneuver it a certain way in your mind to say, hey, okay, cool, well, I can now do this if this was this. You know what I mean? It still places you in a position of power, but essentially you do have to take it and move it out of a negative thought frame, a thought pattern, in order for it to be beneficial to you in some degree or at any degree. You know what I mean? The thing I like to say is that I don't lose, I learn, above everything. And that's part of the reason why I'm not going to take a lot of the mishaps that had out, this first episode, simply because I'm not going to take whatever happens out of this as a loss. I learn. It's only going to get better from here. You dig what I'm saying? This is only day one. Day two is if you really pay attention to every day in life. They say you live and you learn something every day, but that's only if you're paying attention. You know what I mean? So, that's just my perspective on things. So when you talk about mental transmutation, literally being able to take a situation where you thought you lost, and you say, you know what, now I learned this instead. I see how to maneuver about these situations with these type of energies and people and situations a certain type of way. So that way, it's still me placing myself here. So when I notice this energy about things, now I remember what happened last time. I remember these people got to thinking and moving about me like this once I did this, because I'm this type of genuine and this type of nature of person. You know what I mean? So you then begin to develop ways to protect yourself whenever you're into these type of perceptions or ways of life and living, because you've developed an acuity now mentally to take back what they controlled and held over you as power, which is this. I like to say all the time. You control the mind, you got the rest of the body. You dig what I'm saying? This is at the top. Everything from the head down, you got, if you got the head, you know. So it takes a lot of training mentally to get to this position. I didn't get this way overnight. I've always been a certain type of person. So when you talk about me being the perfect suited guy to travel this journey and then give it back to the people, I get it. I now gravely understand and overstand why I'm supposed to be in this position, doing what I'm doing, being who I am, you know. And the biggest thing is that it's genuine. You know, I don't have any agenda behind this. Like I told you guys initially, like, this is for my peace, for my sanity. This has nothing to do with me trying to gain leverage or a position on anything or anybody. If anything, I want to give it back to y'all because unbeknownst to you, they're doing it to you anyway. And they is them. you know, and when I say them, come on now. Anybody who's here has to be adept in some form of thought to know what certain things mean, because there's certain things beyond my explanation, you know. So I'm not gonna place that type of weight on me to teach you guys all those different things when I had to do my own research, doing my own findings and learnings, and then I wouldn't say not experiment with self, but then implement to see what what's the word I'm looking for? It's on the tip of my tongue. To then see, you know, what solutions I find. You know, most of the world's greatest inventions came through having a need or a problem. You know what I mean? So I believe that's what I'm here for. To whatever problem that I'm seeing, I know I'm not the only one that's seeing it and having it. So I only wish to give you solutions to problems if you're willing to live in this nature of way and thought. You know what I mean? And really, when I say willing to become conscious for yourself, I truly believe that this is the only way out of whatever hell state that we're in. You know, not even believe, I truly know that now. There's things that, since really using the nature of these principles, not even just these hermetic principles, but the nature and these laws of the universe for real, like really understanding what it means to me on a day-to-day basis. Like I've very, very much so and very profoundly been able to change like my state of being to the point where I don't believe I could go back to any way of thought where I don't have that type of control over me anymore, you know. And I'm grateful that I don't know how to explain it any deeper than that. Like, I'm really just grateful that I was able to come out of that lost stage, that always feeling like someone else is in control of everything in my life aside from me. You know, really diving. Yeah, it's time to eat, guys. So that means I'm gonna cut this one short. But you know, being that I was able to find out that these things exist, or this power exists within me. It's not an external source that, like they all explain to us, it's not something outside of me that I'm looking for. It's really all within self that I wish to attain. And it's just like so many, I had to learn that. I had to not even learn. The biggest thing I grasped as a positive out of the situation that happened to me to land me in Georgia was that I had all this time now to develop. I didn't have all these immediate distractions around me of other people and other things and outside influences. And even at that point, I was already like kind of moving away from social media. Like I, I don't have a Snapchat anymore. Um, you might as well say I don't have a Facebook. It's there, but I don't log in for several different reasons. But the largest part is that the amount of negative energy that comes from the following and followers that I have, which is largely attached to the state of mind and small minded thinking that's at from my hometown, you know. And I feel like I addressed this recently in one of my stories on my Instagram, where I was saying how as much as I didn't want to leave home, that was the best thing for me. And it was the best thing for me because it allowed me to see so much, so much is really out here in the world. It allowed me to cultivate, you know, this thought process deeper, because it'll let me know like it's way more out here in the world than what I'm being told from this small section of it. And it just allowed me to really grow. It allowed me to become way more cultured. It allowed me to really like grow this way of life so far to the point where anywhere I go, I feel like I'm accepted because I respect the lands that I walk on, but I feel like this earth my turf because I'm from it. I'm not from any just one given place, and I'm learning that throughout this journey, But I don't want to keep it too long. I'll end it with this. You can do literally anything if you learn how to control this. If you learn how to not give this to everybody else. If you learn how to not even just believe in yourself, but know that that thought that you had of whatever idea or whatever creation, whatever invention, whatever record you thought or think that you can break, whatever goal that you have, it's attainable. Nothing is stopping you outside of you. You know what I mean? And learning how to really live and embody yourself and fully immerse yourself in that way of life. Even when people will tell you like you're not gonna amount to nothing, that idea is dumb, that idea is stupid, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it might not make sense to them because they can't see the vision. They're still caught in whatever that small mentality or a small way of small minded thinking pattern is. It came to you because it's possible, and you're the vessel that can actually bring it to fruition here. You see what I mean? And it's like, if you don't do it, it may not get done. It may not ever happen. And then if you don't do it and you see someone else do it, do you know how angry your soul then becomes? Then that energy that just burns in you turns into all types of hate, frustration, pessimism, negativity, and that festers. And all at that point, that's all you can literally create into your life is hate, frustration, negativity, pessimism, bad situations. And it'll continue to happen until you move out of that realm of thinking and thought and train of activity. So if I couldn't give anyone any encouragement, when you feel the need to move. That answer of why, or the what behind the why, it'll be answered if you move on it. You dig what I'm saying? Long as whatever you're doing don't hurt self first and foremost, those immediately around you, and then large groups of people. Long as from what you can see right then and there, and then whatever whatever future scope that you have on whatever it is that you see or deem to be what's necessary of you at that moment, go for it. Why not? You never know what could come of it. I never saw rapping for me, but it was the best thing to happen to my life, because not from a sense of it allowed me to be cool or lit, but from the sense of it really showed me that a lot of stuff that I talked about or talk about in my songs, I never thought that I would be amongst or around or about. And lo and behold, it showed me like, even in the midst of being amongst or about certain things, you still came out and been yourself every time. You know what I mean? It brought me to a place where I can sit in front of you guys and speak. And I've been doing that for the better half of like 10 years. You know what I mean? And everybody that knows me knows I'm a very very introverted, to myself person, and most people now wouldn't believe that, my energy is very extroverted, and that's just because I know how to match energy when necessary. But I'd much rather be in my own solitude. Anybody that truly knows me knows that about me. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, y'all stay up, y'all stay safe, y'all stay blessed. You dig what I'm saying? And love. See y'all next time.